Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Barclays Center here in Brooklyn, New York, as Premier Boxing Champions presents our official weigh-in for tomorrow's stacked pay-per-view event on Prime Video. It is all brought to you by GTD Promotions, TGB Promotions, and it is sponsored by DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Now, before we get to our pay-per-view card, we do have an exciting Prime Video prelim set for you that will all be beginning tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Pacific. Now, let's start off with our first fight on those prelims. This bout will be 4 rounds at the lightweight division. This is a weight limit of 141 pounds. Coming to the stage first with a record of 2 victories, 1 by knockout, no defeats. Out of Baltimore, Maryland, here is Jamal Johnson. All right, now let's bring on his opponent. Undefeated, 5 victories, all 5 by knockout. Representing Fort Washington, Maryland, here is Derek Scooter Davis. 'All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're ready for our first fighter to step onto the scale. Once again, out of Baltimore, Maryland, here is Jamal Johnson. 140.8, 140.8 for Johnson. Now it's time to bring up the undefeated fighter from Fort Washington, Maryland. Here is Derek Scooter Davis. 138.2, 138.2 for Scooter. This will be the first fight kicking off our PBC Prime Video prelims tomorrow. Derek Scooter Davis taking on Jamal Johnson. Once again, the Prime Video prelims all start 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Pacific. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll continue our prelims now as we move on to 6 rounds in the welterweight division. Now coming to the stage, he is undefeated, 7 victories, 5 by knockout. Representing Oceanside, California, here is Angel Machete Munoz. And now we'll introduce His opponent coming in also undefeated, 8 victories, 6 by knockout. From Washington, D.C., here is David, the Body Snatcher Whitmire. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this will be our second fight on those PBC Prime Video Prelims. Now we are set for our first fighter to step onto the scale. Once again, here is the undefeated fighter out of Oceanside, California. Here is Angel Machete Munoz. 148.8, 148.8 for Machete. Once again, the weight limit is 149 pounds for this bout. Now, let's welcome on his opponent, the undefeated fighter out of Washington, D.C., David, the Body Snatcher Whitmire. 146.4, 146.4 for the Body Snatcher. Once again, this is our second fight on our prelims. David, the Body Snatcher Whitmire against Angel Machete Munoz. Both men are undefeated. Someone's O has got to go. That should be a good one. 6 rounds in the welterweight division. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for our featured fight on the PBC Prime Video Prelims. This bout will be 10 rounds in the middleweight division. Coming to the stage first with a record of 35 victories, 34 by knockout, opposite of 4 defeats, representing Valencia, Venezuela. Here is the hard-hitting knockout artist, Johan Gonzalez. All right, now we'll welcome his opponent coming to the stage with the record of 25 victories, 17 by knockout, opposite of 3 defeats and 1 draw, representing Accokeek, Maryland. He is the former unified 154-pound world champion. Here is Swift Jared Hurd. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're now ready for our first fighter to hit the scale. Once again, here is the hard-hitting knockout artist from Venezuela, Johan Gonzalez. 158.8, 158.8 for Gonzalez. Now, stepping onto the scale, his opponent, once again, the former unified world champion, Swift Jared Hurd. $159.6, 159.6 for Swift Jared Hurd. $159.6, 159.6 for Hurd. This is our featured fight on the PBC Prime Video Prelims tomorrow. Swift Jared Hurd against Johan Gonzalez. 10 rounds in the middleweight division. All right, Johan, this is a tremendous opportunity. You came up short in your last fight, but you are facing a former world champion in Swift Jared Hurd. He said if he doesn't get through you, he's hanging up the gloves. How does tomorrow play out against the former champ?
Qué tremenda oportunidad, ¿no? Acá frente a un ex campeón en Nueva York, Hurd dice que si pierde mañana, entonces él se retira. ¿Qué va a pasar mañana? ¿Cómo la ves?
Bueno, es una gracias por la oportunidad que me dio la empresa PBC y primera vez que yo quería venir de niño a Nueva York y voy a dejarlo todo porque es una tremenda oportunidad y sé que de sacar una victoria me vendrán cosas mejores.
Well, you know, first of all, thank you to PBC for this opportunity. It's a dream come true. I've always wanted to come to New York as a kid, and here I am, making my dream come true. And I know that if I win tomorrow, the bigger things are in store for me. Can't wait.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, give it up one more time for Johan Gonzalez. Now I'll go over to his opponent, the former champ, Swift Jared Hurd. First off, how good does it feel to be back here, obviously with PBC, and you're going to be the feature presentation for the PBC Prime Video Prelims. What are you looking to accomplish tomorrow?
It's a great feeling to be back, man. You know, I'm just looking to go out there and look like the fighter I was once before. You know, I know the type of skills I have. I know what level I'm on. And like I said, when I'm 100%, it's a dangerous Swift. So I plan on going out there and getting a dominant stoppage in a dominant fashion.
All right, Swift Jared Hurd, ladies and gentlemen, we look forward to seeing him tomorrow against Johan Gonzalez, 10 rounds in the middleweight division. Once again, our PBC Prime Video Prelims start 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Pacific. You do not want to miss that. And now, ladies and gentlemen, in just a few moments, we're going to be bringing on our pay-per-view card, so you don't want to miss it. We'll be back in just a few short moments, but first, let's check out Gloves Off as we take a look behind the scenes as Gervonta Tank Davis and the Reaper Lamont Roach get set for their March 1st showdown tomorrow night here at Barclays Center.
And gentlemen, a very good afternoon to you indeed, and we welcome you to Barclays Center here in Brooklyn, New York, as Premier Boxing Champions presents the PBC pay-per-view on Prime official weigh-in for our big night of action taking place tomorrow night right here at Barclays Center, and brought to you by GTD Promotions and TGB Promotions, sponsored by DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we begin with our opening pay-per-view attraction, the Interim Super Welterweight World Title, brought to you in association with Warriors Boxing and the Box Lab. Let's bring our fighters to the stage at this time. First, hailing from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Please welcome the former unified super welterweight champion of the world, Julian J. Rock Williams. And his opponent is fighting out of Stanford, Texas, originally from Cuba. He is the undefeated world rank contender. Please welcome to the stage the undefeated Yoenis Tellez. Now let's bring our fighters to the scale. The weight limit on this fight is a very strict 154 pounds for the WBA Interim Super Welterweight Championship. Once again, to the scale first, we have, with 17 knockouts in his 29 wins, the former unified super welterweight champion of the world, Julian J. Rock Williams. 153.2, 153.2 for Julian J. Rock Williams. And out to the scale, with a record of 9 wins and no losses, he has 7 wins coming by way of knockout. Please welcome to the scale the undefeated rising super welterweight contender, Yoenis Tellez. 153.4 pounds, 153.4 for Yoenis Tellez. And just a moment, we're going to have our fighters square off for this opening pay-per-view attraction, reminding you Premier Boxing Champions presents the PBC pay-per-view on Prime. Starts at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 5 p.m. Pacific. And, of course, we have a free on Prime preliminary boxing and a great card, and that starting at 5 p.m. And that's, excuse me, that's going to be 6 p.m. local time. That's 3 p.m. Pacific. Let's bring our fighters together to square off for the opening PBC pay-per-view on Prime, a big night of action, starting off with an interim WBA Super Welterweight World title.
Look out, guys. Look out. Look out. Turn the other way. Turn the other way.
There they are, ladies and gentlemen. Yoenis Tellez, undefeated rising star, taking on Julian J. Rock Williams. They're going to have to wait until tomorrow to continue this because that is the opening fight on our PBC pay-per-view on Prime. 12 rounds for the WBA Interim Super Welterweight Championship.
Tomorrow, okay? What? I'm going to be here.
And now let's hear from our fighters a little bit more. My pleasure to introduce multi-talented boxing commentator, colleague Miguel Flores. Miguel, take it away. Let's hear first from Julian J. Rock Williams.
Thank you. Thank you, Jimmy. And I am here alongside the man proudly representing Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Julian J. Rock Williams. It got a little bit testy up there. Well, talk us through what happened. You were kind of in front of him and he gave you a little bit of a shove.
His arms in my face. He put his arms in my face. He crazy. Might not make it to the fight due to some shit like that.
Now, tomorrow, you have an opportunity to be a world champion. Again, at this point in your career, what would that mean to you and your career to be a world champion again?
I mean everything. That's why I'm here. It's the only reason why I'm here. I ain't here for no money. I ain't here for nothing else. I'm here to be a champion.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Julian J. Rock Williams. And now we'll go over to his opponent, Yoenis Tellez. as he comes in, the undefeated fighter. As we look forward to tomorrow's action, you gave J-Rock a little bit of a shove. He said you put your arm in your face. He said, oh, you don't play those games. Were you trying to send a little bit of a message to him doing that?
¿Qué pasó con el empujón de recién? ¿Estabas tratando de mandar como un mensajito?
Sí, sí, como que lo vi un poquito salidito del plato y tuve que ponerlo en stop.
Well, you know, he was in a way crowding the plate, so you know when someone crowds the plate, you gotta make sure that he respects you.
Now, tomorrow you have an incredible opportunity to be a world champion in your 10th professional fight. What type of statement are you looking to make tomorrow to not only J-Rock, but the rest of the division?
Va a ser tu 10ª pelea como profesional, pero a la misma vez también es una gran oportunidad por el título. ¿Qué tipo de mensaje le estás intentando mandar al boxeo, a Williams y a todos de que Yoenis Tellez, qué va a hacer mañana?
Mañana, con el favor de Dios, hay una sola mentalidad que es salir victorioso y voy a tratar de reventarlo desde que empiece hasta que se acabe. Y mandarle un mensaje a las 154 libras con la oportunidad que se me dio de que hay un cubano con tremendas ganas y con tremenda hambre de comerse el mundo.
You can bet that I'm going to try to break him from the very beginning of the fight until the very end. I'm not going to stop tomorrow night. And the message for the division is the following. A Cuban fighter is here, hungry for glory, and ready to take over.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, give it up one more time for Yoenis Tellez. Back to you, Jimmy.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, once again from Barclays Center here in Brooklyn, New York, Premier Boxing Champions continues with our weigh-in at our next world title attraction, brought to you by GTD Promotions and TGB Promotions. And this fight is presented in association with Schwan Boxing, Top Rank Incorporated, and OPI since 1982. And of course, our sponsorship is DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Let's bring our fighters to the stage at this time. Join me in welcoming them. First, joining us from Barcelona in Spain. He is the WBC World Ranked Challenger. Please welcome Sandor Martin. And now we invite the defending world champion to the stage at this time, hailing from San Juan de la Maguana in the Dominican Republic. Here is the defending WBC super lightweight champion of the world, Alberto La Vispa Puello. And as our fighters prepare to step onto the scale, the weight limit on this fight is 140 pounds. 12 rounds of boxing for the WBC Super Lightweight Championship of the World. Let's bring our challenger to the scale first. Once again from Barcelona, Spain, his record 42 wins, 3 losses with 15 wins coming by way of knockout. He's the European Super Lightweight Champion and a Southpaw World Rank contender. Once again, welcome to the scale, Sandor Martin. $139.2 pounds, 139.2. And now we invite his opponent to the scale. He is the defending champion with a record of 23-0, 10 knockouts, the undefeated WBC Super Lightweight Champion of the World, Alberto La Vispa Puello. 139.2 pounds, 139.2 pounds for the champion, Alberto Puello.
frente, mira para el frente, Santos, para el frente, para el frente.
¿Estoy preparado? Se queda ahí.
Para el frente.
And the fighters are ready for this. It's our second world title attraction, 12 rounds. WBC Super Lightweight Championship of the World. Alberto La Vispa Puello defends his title against the challenger, Sandor Martin.
Suerte.
Thank you.
Once again, we have Miguel Flores. Let's hear more from our fighters, starting with the challenger.
All right, Sandor Martin, incredible opportunity. You are a hungry challenger for the WBC belts. What would it mean for you and your career moving forward to be the first man to defeat the champion Alberto Puello?
¿Qué significaría para vos, Sandor, el ser el primero en no solo quitarle el invicto a Alberto Puello, sino que también ser campeón aquí en Nueva York?
For me, it's not important the opponent. Puello is a good fighter, but my goal is become world champ. That's all for me.
Now, you are proudly from Spain. I'm sure there's going to be many fans in your home country watching. What do you want to say to those as they get ready to watch you tomorrow night?
That's for me, for my family, for my country, for my people, and that I'm gonna be world champ on Saturday, March, and be true my dream.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Sandor Martin. And now let's go to Alberto Puello. Alberto, what is Sandor going to find out tomorrow night when he steps into the ring with you?
¿De qué se va a dar cuenta Sandor Martin mañana cuando ingrese al cuadrilátero y te enfrente?
De que hay niveles y que el boxeo no es un relajo.
You know what? There are levels in this thing, and boxing is no easy thing. He's going to realize that.
All right, short and sweet from Alberto La Vispa Puello, the WBC World Champion.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Premier Boxing Champions now presents our next world title attraction. It is the co-main event of the evening, brought to you by GTD Promotions and TGB Promotions, sponsored by DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Let's welcome the fighters as they come to the stage at this time. First, representing the preeminent boxing family from Capitol Heights, Maryland. Please welcome the world-ranked hard-hitting super lightweight contender, Gary Antuanne Russell. And now we invite the defending champion to the stage at this time from Los Mochis, Sinaloa, Mexico. Making the first defense of his world title, here's the defending WBA Super Lightweight Champion of the World, Jose El Rayo Valenzuela. Let's get our fighters onto the scale. The weight limit on this fight is 140 pounds, a strict 140 pounds. This is for the WBA Super Lightweight Championship of the World. First, the challenger with a record of 17-1 with all 17 wins coming by way of knockout. The hard-hitting WBA world-ranked challenger, Gary Antuanne Russell. $138.2 pounds for Gary Antuanne Russell, 138.2 pounds. And now let's bring the defending champion to the scale at this time. His record is 14 wins, 2 losses, with 9 of his wins coming by way of knockout. He is the all-action, newly crowned WBA Super Lightweight Champion of the World, Jose El Rayo Valenzuela. 138.8 pounds, 138.8 for the champion, Jose El Rayo Valenzuela. While we await our fighters to square off, I've just been informed that there are a few seats available. They've released a few seats. They are available at Ticketmaster.com. It's going to be a great fight card tomorrow night right here, Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York.
Be pros, be pros.
There they are, ladies and gentlemen, promising to be an all-action showdown for the WBA Super Lightweight Championship of the World. Jose El Rayo Valenzuela versus Gary Antuanne Russell in our co-main event of the evening.
Good luck, guys. Good luck. All right, man. Good luck.
Once again, let's hear from our fighters. Once again, take it away, Miguel Flores.
All right, I'm here with Gary Antuanne Russell. Gary, as we bring you over, you're saying it's on and popping tomorrow. You are excited for this one. What needs to happen tomorrow night for you to be successful against Rayo and to become and the new?
I got to dismantle him in every way and bring that belt home. And the new.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, give it up one more time for our co-main event, Gary Antuanne Russell. Now let's go over to the champ, Jose Rayo Valenzuela. You're 1 day away from stepping into the ring with Russell, making your first world title defense. What was the message you were saying? You guys were saying things back and forth here at the final face-off. What was your message to him?
Not much. We're just going to give the fans a hell of a fight.
All right, Jose Rayo Valenzuela, the WBA champion, as he's set to make his first world title defense.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, Premier Boxing Champions presents the official weigh-in for the featured attraction of the evening, brought to you by GTD Promotions and TGB Promotions in association with Pro Box Promotions, sponsored by DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Let's welcome our fighters to the stage at this time. First, the challenger from Washington, D.C. He's a champion in his own right, but he'll be moving up in weight and challenging for this title. Please welcome the current WBA Super Featherweight Champion of the World, the Reaper, Lamont Roach. And now, his opponent is the renowned champion from Baltimore, Maryland, the five-time three-division champion of the world and the current WBA lightweight champion of the world, Gervonta Tank Davis.
Easier.
There they are, ladies and gentlemen, the stare down and a few words exchanged. The last time they'll face each other until they meet in the center of the ring tomorrow night for the main event of the evening. the WBA Lightweight Championship of the World, Gervonta Tank Davis versus the Reaper, Lamont Roach.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to bring up Lamont Roach, the 130-pound WBA world champion. Lamont, as you come forward, a tremendous, huge, massive event tomorrow here at Barclays Center. You and Tank were drawing back and forth. What was your message to him right now?
I told him this shit real. He talking about he gonna stop me. He know damn well that shit ain't gonna happen. I told him to bring a pillow.
Now, tomorrow, fans are going to be tuning in to watch this fight between you and Tank. What are fight fans going to learn tomorrow night about Lamont Roach?
That I'm one of the best fighters in the world. Can't wait for y'all to see it. That's all I gotta say.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, give it up one more time for the Reaper, Lamont Roach. And now we'll bring up Gervonta Tank Davis as it. All right, Tank, we'll bring you up as right there, that final exchange. What did you want to say to him?
He a front runner like everybody else that fought. That's it. That's it. That's it. Okay.
So you said he's a front runner just like everyone else you fought?
For the people that's here. That's all he doing. Showing off for them. Look at him. Look at him. Look at him. He's showing off. He ain't had none of this energy any other time. Now, no, it's not. No, it's not. Watch.
Prediction tomorrow night. It's always an electric atmosphere when you step into the ring. And once again, the last time you were in Barclays Center, you broke records. They're anticipating those records to be broken. What happens as Gervonta Tank Davis defends his world title again?
Same old, same old. I get the people what they want to see, man. Explosive knockouts and shit like that. That's what come with me. So that's what we'll see Saturday night.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, give it up one more time for the champ, one of boxing's biggest stars, Gervonta Tank Davis.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you very much for your attendance. That concludes our official weigh-in. Don't forget, the action begins tomorrow. PBC pay-per-view on Prime, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific. And we want to remind you also there are a few tickets available. Ticketmaster.com is where you can get them. Good afternoon, everybody.